Hello, I'm Louise, and welcome to Empath Power channel. I don't like labels, and also labels are quite useful, so I have decided to call this under the heading of Empaths because I think it's kind of not as divisive as codependence, the whole codependent narcissist thing, and because actually you can be pretty narcissistic as an empath, and I have known some pretty narcissistic empaths, and it's to do with just having that hyper empathy, I will call it, which can be detrimental to the health. It has in my case. I'm coming at it from an angle of complex trauma that I'm healing in myself. And what I have discovered, which I'm going to talk about today, is energy drains relating specifically this time to social media. Now, if anybody experiences this, there are a number of reasons for this, which I'm going to try and go through. And I'm going to talk about this. I'm not judging whether or not to stay on social media. One of the reasons I'm now concentrating more on YouTube is that I'm avoiding social media personally. I felt that there was some kind of a necessity, it's like a duty now to be on social media, or people just can't get their head around the fact that you might not want to be on there. And for people with that condition where things just drain your energy like that and you can't make head nor tail of it, you may really notice that on social media. Now, number one is your psychic energy as an empath. And what I'm going to explain about the term empath is, in terms of energy draining, it's actually due to the fact that we are unconsciously projecting qualities and aspects of self that we perceive we do not have. Now, this happens without any conscious effort or understanding or knowledge, and it can happen even with spirit. As I was experiencing a lot, I only started to realise what it was that I was being drained in certain places. I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome in 2003. I have had lots of healing and different therapies to do with fatigue, and I had some real breakthroughs over the last couple of years to figure out what these energy drains were. I'd gone up and down with energy levels. I'd actually got rid of the worst symptoms of chronic fatigue mostly quite a few years ago, as in the really bad pain and IBS, which was really prevalent at the beginning. I probably started to overcome those in about 2009, but I sort of denied myself that I still had it, or whatever you want to label it. I was still having fatigue of quite serious measures, really, when I think about it. And I'm sort of admitting that again, that I'm having these problems, or have had, still having and noticing. And I've done it today. I've noticed a lot of things that I haven't had fatigue from, which I would have normally had fatigue from. And I've noticed things which I felt a bit of a drain, and then I figured out what it is. So in terms of social media, I felt today I put a picture up on my art page that was very exposing, I suppose. There's quite a lot of flesh in it, and it's I really like the picture. I feel like I look really good in the picture, but it's, you know, there's a sexual erotic element to the picture. Obviously there's no nudity because you can't have that on Instagram, and I realised that once I'd put it up, I started to feel this uncomfortable feeling right in the middle of my heart that became this almost feeling quite draining. Luckily, it came up as an aspect of me I saw this time, and I've never seen this before. I've felt this feeling, but I've never seen it, because I have quite a lot of visual representations of sort of shadow selves, the parts of ourselves that we don't like or we've really repressed because we don't like feeling like that. It doesn't have to be anything big and horrible. It can just be very mundane things that we just don't like, and being a bit anxious and stuff, and we can really repress that if we're powerful magicians, really, which is what a lot of us are, because we're very spiritually open. So if we are a very powerful magician, we've managed to suppress a lot of feelings really well, but it doesn't mean that they're still not there. And then rather than us being conscious of them, they creep up in these other ways and can drain us. So rather than looking at it too much from the outside in, we've got to, again, like all the work that we really have to do is know that our soul is a projector, and we're watching the film of whatever and feeling the film or feelings that we need to feel and see in order for us to get on our path and get on our way. And anything that triggers is because there's something there that needs to happen and that needs to be worked on. So I felt this, and it was kind of draining, and it was sort of weird. And then I visualised, I could see her, a version of myself who was like, oh my God, some people might think badly of us. Oh no, people might not like us. Some people might hate it. You know, all of these misogynistic ideas, very, very self-conscious, which I sort of pride myself on consciously not being. But again, because those voices and those feelings were never processed because they're trauma, and they're not our trauma, which is what I reassured her with today. They're not our trauma. They're the trauma of the family members who put that on you because they're insecure, or the ancestors, or the other lives that we've had. We also have those traumas with us. So I assured her that this is not our anxiety actually, but it's okay that she feels like it's completely understandable. We were brought up, an actual insult for my aunt was, oh, she loves herself, that one. That was an insult in my family, to love yourself. So that's the kind of place that I grew up, where, you know, sort of being happy in your own skin and your own body was actually something that people ridiculed and saw it as a threat. So because they're very insecure, obviously. And I reassured her, this is not yours, and it's okay, you feel like that's completely fine, you feel like that, but we could. I just had a little word with her, and I joined in with some other selves. You can do this visualization. You can visualize very powerful or very peaceful or very empowered versions of you, very sexually liberated, very in their power. And I had a few of them with me, and we all spoke. And also my inner child, the young inner child, spoke. And an 11-year-old one I was working with yesterday spoke, and because she was extremely, this is where this has come from, because she was extremely insecure, just starting puberty, mortifyingly insecure. So we spoke to her, and we spoke to the anxious version, and we assured her that it was okay to feel how she feels and that it wasn't her trauma. And we could use that energy instead of being anxious, which is okay, but we could use all of that energy into being in our powerful self. And we don't need to be worried about what anyone else thinks of us, because whoever doesn't like it, well, we can have them, you know. We can not speak to them, because we don't speak to people who judge us like that, and we're not friends with people who judge us like that. So we don't want to know people like that, and they're never going to affect us, because they're not going to be our friends. We don't speak to family members who are like that anymore, because it's not healthy to be around that kind of mentality when you're an expressive person. And for me, that's helped my mental health a lot, to not be around. My father is very abusive. I can't even imagine the names that he would have come up for me with one of those pictures. It's really that bad, which I wouldn't even say, because it's too traumatic to even talk about. Well, for other people, to be honest. And not nice for me either to even think about how he used to perceive that sort of behaviour, as in women feeling empowered and liberated in their sexuality. Very, very, very threatening for him, and possibly just very triggering, because he has obviously got some issues. So that's his own journey, and I leave him to that journey. And this is another reason why I walk away from that, and also all the projection to do with that, because in the end, the way that he also was my projection of that. So when I found this very anxious part of me, and we managed to have this conversation and integrate her, which is what it's about, is about finding that part, saying it's okay. It takes a lot of work to get to that point of being really okay with these parts of self as well. Telling her it's okay, telling her, reassuring her that we're not going to take any shit from anyone, and we're not going to hang around with anyone who gives us any shit, and we're just not going to have that, and really, really, really reassuring her that we don't have to deal with that. If we have to deal with someone on the street or on social media, we just ignore, delete, or we do whatever we do to walk away from somebody like that. So that was one thing. That's one tip of today. The other thing I'd say for an empath, though, is the drain, because of having so much shadow aspects that we may not be integrating as empaths. Because the thing is, we make a lot of excuses and we really over-empathize with other people, but we really sometimes perceive ourselves as not having any of those things that we're empathizing with the other person to have. This is the journey, okay? Because we are infinite and we've got all of them. And the more that we can integrate all the aspects of ourselves, in my experience, the less the energy drain is. The milder, the less frequent. This is one aspect, though. I could go on for a long time about all the other aspects. I will do other videos that talk about other elements of energy drain, where they come from. This one specifically related to social media, related to others' perception of us, related to us wanting to express ourselves and wondering why we feel very drained when we have, possibly. So I hope this has helped, and have a great rest of your weekend. Tiny bit left of it if you're seeing it today, Sunday, and I shall be putting a lot more videos up soon.